Welcome to another episode of the Loren Lahav podcast, where we're celebrating our 5th year of bringing you the most fascinating, coolest humans on the planet. You know, I am cruising towards my 60th trip around the sun, and I've discovered something really magical. The world is packed with even more incredible stories than I ever imagined. And every week, it's like opening a surprise gift. You never know who's going to pop into our studio. Maybe it's a tattoo artist who became a quantum physicist, or a grandma who just climbed Kilimanjaro. We dive into the good, the messy, and the beautiful, sharing those awe moments, the epic fails that turn into beautiful wins, and the raw truth about owning who we really are. Because let's face it, life is way too short to pretend. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfy, and join our tribe of authentic souls who aren't afraid to keep it real. This is where wisdom meets laughter and where every story matters. Let's dive in. Oh my God, I'm so excited for you all to meet this amazing soul. And you will know what I'm talking about in the first 30 seconds from meeting her. And I met her, I think we met via screen. I think you were on the screen when we met. So Meeka Caissie, we're going to share a lot about your amazing background. And, we were talking about all of these magical moments and how they bring us to who we're becoming. And I know, first of all, I want to thank you because you are such an amazing cheerleader for everyone. I am awe-inspired by you and just who you are, what you stand for in the world. I know that for both of us, it's really about building strong communities wherever you are, right? Whether you just got back from an amazing experience, and I watched you, I Facebook stalked you, and you were building community while you were there. You came to the when I was launching On Your Worth, and I was doing this pre-event to kind of launch it. You grabbed everybody to make sure that they showed up for the party. So I just first really want to thank you for how you show up. And I just want to talk a little bit about your background, what's gotten you to this place of really, I know that Ladies in Power is your big focus. But I also wanted you to share a little bit about your background. So throughout your transformational journey, from dancing to modeling to entrepreneurship, and how has your approach to, personal development evolved, and what practices do you see as kind of this golden thread for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, let me unpack that first. Thank you for
that's
your
what you're here to do, unpack it all, sister.
Thank you for your beautiful, kind words. And it takes one to know one. Loren, you are the cheerleader. Okay. And, when I have an opportunity to promote a woman that I believe in and that inspires me, I'm going to do that all day long. And that is who you are. And so the moment I realized you were doing an event, I needed to scream it from the rooftops because there's a lot of us that spend time maybe on things that don't add a tremendous amount of value or aren't aligned with where we are or where we want to go. And when we find someone that is, it's just really important that we latch on. And I'm so honored to be part of your community. You are an inspiration in so many ways. You get things done. You do what you say you're going to do. And I love you for it. And I think the universe brought me to you, or you to me, us together, because we like to make a difference in other people's lives. And well, my journey, you mentioned personal development. I didn't do it for the first 3 decades of my life, and I was a hot mess. I was ignorance on fire, which was great in some ways because I got a lot done, and I made a lot of mistakes. And over the decades, those mistakes became the wrath of me, really. I became embarrassed or ashamed of things that I had done. And through some personal development work, including yours, I realized to reframe some of the experiences of my past, that they didn't happen to me, they happened for me. And I think one of our mentors, Tony Robbins, shares that. And it's really unpacking those things and realizing that Yeah, through the modeling career, through the acting career, singing, there's a lot of different things that I've done. A lot of mistakes were made. And looking back and seeing what I did right and seeing what I learned and learning the lessons and then paying that forward, because I find women everywhere are focusing so much on what they did wrong or what they didn't get right or the mistakes they made or loving the wrong guy, eating the wrong food, working the wrong job, whatever it is, and then taking, like you talked about, the hammer and just hammering ourselves on it. And it's like, wait a second. There's probably some lessons in there that you learned that you're pulling forward. So be grateful that you got through that. And so that's a little bit of my past. Is really now learning to take those things from the past and use them as fuel, as steps on the ladder, so to speak, to climb higher and higher and higher and higher. The more experiences we have in the past, the higher up we get to look at our future and look, don't spend a lot of time looking back. We want to look forward. And you do that. My gosh, you do that. You are such a role model. When you've reached a place in your career or your life where you've learned a lot, there, I think I speak for myself, I start to get more choosy on who I want to follow. And following somebody for me has to have courage, and you have more courage than any other woman I've ever met. And that's why I want to be in your space. I've done things since I've met you that I didn't think I was going to do, not because I didn't think I was enough, just because I didn't, maybe I did think I wasn't enough. Whatever the reasons were, I've taken action on them. And I'm so grateful for you for that. You're a tremendous role model, Loren, for all of us women on taking action. You might not be perfect, but doing
Yeah.
nothing is definitely not working either.
All right. I mean, well, I thank you. I adore you and I adore what you stand for in the world, especially as a cheerleader, because I think a lot of people, they don't have the cheer and they're like, am I on the right track? Is this the right thing to be doing? Or like you said, I'm just like you, I was amening you in the background about you get a lot choosier about who you're going to be around or if I, and I always, we hear it said all the time, watch the feet, not the lips. And I say, I'm messy. I've got a lot going on. But I do believe that the messy is the magic. And I think that someone was just sharing that Pitbull shared a quote about that he is who he is because of the mistakes he made, not because he made the mistakes. And I think for all of us, it's just, you just got to keep moving forward, right? You don't know what's going to stick. It's like me, I like throw all these things out there. I'm like, one of them's got to stick. And then like some of those things don't stick. And I'm like, okay, let's just keep going. And I think that really comes back to listening. And you are an amazing listener. Can we talk a little bit? I know a passion of yours is that of self-image. I know I love that you were doing the photo shoots. We know the power of a photo shoot, right? And the power of women feeling like, oh my God, that's me, beautiful. Can you talk a little bit about self-image and authenticity with self-image?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for decades, I didn't have a great self-image, even though I was in an industry where you'd think I would have to have it to earn a living as a model. And I didn't. People would tell me things, but I never believed them. I didn't see what they believed. And so I altered my body. I had eye surgery very, very young because they told me that my Polish cheekbones were too high and that all these things. And so I bought into the garbage, and I had breast implants for 25 years. Again, I had a successful career. And my agents told me that, this is the next step and this is what I needed to do for XYZ. And so I bought into it. And then I just came to a point in my life where I got sick. I think the toxins in my body from the breast implants or, whatever the case may be over the years really caught up to me. And I was forced, honestly, to make a decision to fall in love with myself for what I had naturally. And it's a challenging journey for sure, because a lot of my girlfriends are doing things to maintain their youth that I'm just scared to do. And so I think we need to do what is best for us. I have no judgment on anybody who does anything to make or feel themselves feel more beautiful. For me, it's wanting to fall in love with myself as I am first. And I think when I get to that place where I truly know that I am enough as I am with my cellulite, my wrinkles, my, empty pillowcases, whatever you want to call. When I get to that place, I'm not quite there
You're
yet.
talking about empty pillowcases because I was like, what am I not supposed to sleep with a pillow? Now I get it, you're empty pillowcases. I'm like, okay.
No,
Maybe there's a cool,
these,
like biohacking thing they didn't have about sleeping on empty pillowcases, but now I got it. Now I know. Yes, I know the empty pillowcases.
they took the pillows out of the pillowcases. And it's not it's just, it changes our identity. And so I had to catch up with that. I had to catch up psychologically with my body. And uh, when I truly feel in love with myself, and I say that not from an ego place, but from a genuine love myself place, then I will feel comfortable to do what I want to do with my body. If I want to, get an
Right.
injection, or I want to do a facelift or whatever, I'm just not there yet. And I want to be
Right.
honest with myself about it. So that's my journey.
I love that. There was something that I was questioning whether or not to put in my book. When I was 15 years old, it was interesting. Somebody just posted a picture of when I was a cheerleader in high school. And I was not confident and I wasn't the best cheerleader, right? Like I worked hard to just be on the cheerleading squad. And they posted this picture, and you know how you're triggered by some of the pictures. And that particular year, um, I I remember specifically I was 15 years old, and my friend was doing something, and I said to my mom that I wanted to go do this thing that my friend was doing. And my mom goes, well, I guess I haven't done my job. And I go, what do you mean you haven't done your, of course you've done your job. She goes, no, if you need someone else to tell you you're beautiful, then I haven't done my job. Right. And so I'm so grateful to my mom for saying that to me. Isn't it interesting how we all go through what makes us feel uncomfortable? Like for me, I had the high cheekbones, I had the pointy chin, and I had the big boobs. My nickname, I was always a double D since I was like 12 years old or 13 years old, right? And so and then they started giving me a nickname. And so then I started like to have fun with the nickname instead of like, because I remember I used to take my bra and make it so that it looked like I was, like I had indentions so that I could get a reduction, right? Like I would make it so it was super tight so that I could actually get, but like you said, like, it's falling in love with ourselves and then going from there. I think that, like you said, and then if there gets boring, oh, you know what, I really do want to do that, then that's your decision. And as you know, my whole thing is if I'm saying yes to this, am I staying true to myself? And I know that's a big thing for you. So I love that. It's beautiful. Can you talk a little bit? I mean, I know that when you shared many times, you talked a lot about, you were with major celebrities. You worked with, you sang with them, you danced with them, you did all of these things. But what did you learn about yourself on that journey about, you're a really beautiful observer. What did you observe in that space that has made you who you are today?
Thank you. That we all are enough, that no one is more powerful than someone else unless they think they are. No one is more beautiful. No one is more, I think that's and thank you. That's a great question. It's that we all have value to add, every single one of us, if we're willing to get beyond judgment, if we're willing to get beyond criticism, if we're willing to stay curious and to be open and really see another human being and discover who they are and what they're, who are they, what are they about, what value can you bring to their lives, and what value can they bring to yours? Because if we're curious, that's what I learned, is to get curious about, yeah, I traveled with some very elite people, and private jets and yachts, and I was very privileged to be with celebrities that had very little ego, that role modeled for me, despite having billions of dollars, that they are just like us. They might work harder and be laser focused on one thing, which got them, to where they are, but they're just like us. They have the same pains, the same fears, the same doubts, the same excitement, the same family drama, the same concerns. Am I enough? Like we're all the same. And if we put someone on a pedestal, the only thing that can happen is they can get knocked off, and we let ourselves down and we let them down. And yeah, of course, I didn't know all this then. I
Right.
didn't know all this
But
then.
so that's a
Looking
really
back.
great thing though. Like what do you think that, like, so you learn, yes, everybody's the same. And then, I mean, for a lot of this, people, I can't imagine like all the time being watched, right? Like all the time. You never know who's watching, you never know, what's going on. I know there's many of them that you worked with that live here in Las Vegas. But what how has being in that environment helped you? Because what I love the most about you is you are so present with people. Like when you're with somebody, you're really with them. And you do want to know their story. What would you say to someone who goes, oh, I don't know if I could do that. Like, I don't know if I could just like really just sit down with somebody and get to know them. What would you say to them? What would you say the first step is?
Uh, wow, such a great question.
They're just coming out of my head. I don't have
It's
anything written down. I'm just like, that's why I told you, like, I'm just going for whatever's pulling me. So
I love it. I love it. Well, I would say it's okay if you don't number one, it's okay. Don't compare yourself. Don't beat yourself up about it. I think we all have different gifts that we rise to. At the same time, we're all the same, but at the same time, we all have different areas that are important to us that we focus on. So if being present is important to you because you feel like you're missing out, then yeah, discover, uh get curious, like just find something that you don't know about someone and then get really curious about them. And one of the ways that is great to do that is to read body language instead of listening to the words. And
love that.
you have to be present to do that. You have to be present to pay attention to the nuances of someone's eyebrows, of their breath. Are they breathing from their chest, their belly? Are their shoulders up or down or slouched? Like all these things, is their head tilted? All these things are teaching you about that person and where they are in that moment. And if you're willing to get fully present, that's what I would say would be a great
I
first.
love that. That's really beautiful. I love that. Like you read the Bible, like don't just listen to the words. Look at the whole situation. I love that. It was that's such great advice. Really. And practice, right? Just do it with total strangers and see what happens. And just everything is what do we say? Everything is just like a playground to explore and understand that. Can you share a little bit about maybe a time when your community showed up, whatever community? I know you're in lots of different beautiful learning communities, and then your intimate community there in Vancouver for ladies in power, and then you're part of many different communities. But how maybe when your community showed up in an unexpected way for you, that you were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they just showed up for me that way, and your life is transformed because of that.
Oh, I remember it like yesterday. It was my 50th birthday. Um, and my girlfriends rented a huge house with a pool, and they went early and they just decorated the house so beautifully, and there were roses everywhere, and they catered to my crazy fad, what I was eating that month.
And what was that? We have to know the crazy fad.
Well, I mean, I've done, okay, 3 months of eating raw food, 6 months of vegan, actually almost 2 years of vegan. I did 15 days of the carnivore diet. So you name it, I've done
Gotcha.
it. And so this was really special what they did. I was not expecting that. it's something that I like to do for others, and they just knocked it out of the park. People and they all got in their bathing suits, and we got in the hot tub, and we sang and we danced and we were goofy, and all the everything about everyone just kind of disappeared, and we were all in this space of freedom together. Like, yeah, thank you for reminding me of that moment. So I really felt
I
like
think that her love language might be quality time. We can write down special moments and knowing what matters. But you know, I mean, think about that. I love that. That we all take the time to really think about what's most special for people. You know, one of some of our dearest friends, I just want to honor her right now. Her name is Chrissy Donnelly. She just passed away a couple months ago, and I met Mark and Chrissy Shore, and I met them many, many years ago, and we planned their engagement. And we sent out this long questionnaire of all her favorite things, her favorite colors, her favorite, songs, her favorite, like everything. And so we planned the engagement for them. We actually, Shore and I started a company called Moments, and we arranged special moments for people. And he wanted to propose to her at the Grand Canyon. And it was back when cassettes were out. Remember cassettes? And we were like trying to figure out like what was the song that he was going to play when he gave her the ring in the helicopter. And we were listening to music in the car, and the Mark Cohen song played, "As I Fly Above This Canyon, I'm asking you to be my true companion." And I remember Shore and I look at each other and giving each other like, that's it, right? Like this is going to be the moment. And like you said, those little things, when you pay attention to the little things, because the little things are the big things, right? So much. So, but I love that. So let's talk even more. So this sounds like that's what your friends did. They played, really paid attention to the little things that matter for you. Let's talk a little bit more about community, because I think that let's talk a little bit about vulnerability and how vulnerability has played a big part in maybe your own growth and also in growing a community.
Yeah, it's being honest about all of the things that I'm going through creates a space where the other women feel safe to share what they're going through. Um, and going through infertility for over 10 years, and being very open about it, was a beautiful way of building community for the women that could relate, or that were on that journey themselves, which is relating. And so being honest and vulnerable about that brought together a whole different level of connection with some of the women, and many of them ended up getting pregnant because I shared with them a lot of the things that I tried to do that didn't work for me, but worked for others, and it worked for them. And so that being vulnerable about that, and then also being vulnerable about my first photo shoot that I did in decades was with Juliana. And I'm so grateful you introduced me to her. And I did not expect it. I didn't think I was going to do it. And I did it. And she was fabulous. And I shared with her, how vulnerable this was going to be for me, because I'm 30 pounds heavier and I'm 30 years older. And, my pillowcases are empty. And there's so many differences about me that, to go in front of the camera again, and also to pay for a photo shoot when I had been paid for photo shoots my entire career, that was a gift. And that opportunity for me created then the space for me to go and create that for the other women, and for me to be honest with them. Any woman who's never been in front of a camera, who's always dreamt of modeling, who doesn't know how to pose, who doesn't think that they're slim enough, or whatever the story is, they're too old, they're too this, they're too that, they don't have the right clothes, blah, blah, blah. And being honest with them about my journey, and saying, I'm going to be there with you. I'll show you how to pose. We'll go through your wardrobe together. I've got a great photographer. I've done the homework. Let's just go and make it happen. And then, so gosh, you asked such great questions. Thank you, Loren, because that too was that is now becoming a regular thing that I'm doing for my Ladies in Powers. I'm organizing these photo shoots.
Yeah.
In that, one of the woman who's doing the photo shoots She's going through a huge challenge in her personal life right now, and it means the world to her to be surrounded by powerful women who are being vulnerable, and she's making money when she desperately needs it. And then we've got another woman who's doing the hair and makeup that I sourced out, and she is a single mom who overcame tremendous trauma with her previous relationship and is doing her best to make ends meet. And so I'm supporting her, and it's this win-win-win-win-win-win-win. And
Mhm.
community becomes built just authentically. I'm not really doing it. I'm just being me. And you role model that so incredibly well, Loren.
Oh,
I love you. I'm so grateful for you. You
I,
are my
I
cup of
hearing that
espresso,
story, and I
girl.
didn't know, I didn't know the backstory behind that. So it's beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful. Like for me, um, I think the moment for me was when I got married to Z. And I remember my amazing photographer friend, her name's Jenna Lee, for anybody who's in Hawaii. She did there was the girl who was doing my hair and makeup, and I didn't know her because my girl couldn't come. Actually, I'm wrong. The girl who was doing my makeup. I had the girl who was doing my hair come to Santa Barbara. But I remember the first time that I saw myself in the mirror, and I looked and I'm like, that's me. Like, there was this part of me, I'm like, that's me. And I just had this whole new, not because of the makeup and not because of the hair, but like you said, like I saw a part of myself that I didn't ever really acknowledge. And so that's when, like you said, like for me, I was like, I have to make it part of everything. I did it at all of the badass and beautiful events I did before, but we would do what do you got? Boudoir shots, same thing, right? And you're like, that's me, like, and how beautiful, like you said, your body is with lumps and bumps and everything drops and all of those things, and it's still just beautiful. No Photoshop, it's still beautiful. But yeah, and I just love how that's community. You never know who through your vulnerability can open up possibilities for people, right? I think that's what we have to remember is that through your vulnerability, how it opened up for the photographer, for it opened up for the hair and makeup, for the other ladies to feel like, oh my gosh, like I saw the beautiful lady in the white dress that you did the photo shoot for. So magnificent, right? And you just never know how that's going to help them with really step into owning themselves. What about, being, I think this is a big thing that people ask me all the time. And that's why I want to ask you, because you're really building, Ladies in Power there in Vancouver. A lot of people say, well, as a community leader, why is it important for you to continue to grow as well and be a learner?
Oh, if I'm asking them to grow, I better be
No,
growing.
I think for us. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's it. If I'm asking them to come to my events so that they can grow, I need to be growing, or I'm not doing what I'm asking them to do. So, because I'm gonna stretch the women when they come to my events, they're gonna stretch and they're gonna grow, whether they want to or not. If they're showing up, they want to grow. So I have to be growing. I must. And yeah, it's about integrity. It's about role modeling. It's about, yeah, if I'm going to ask you to do something, I better be willing to do it myself. And that's
Yeah.
why I have you, and that's why I have Tony and Dr. Joe and so many people in my life that offer different skill sets that I want to improve on, so I can bring all of those things to my girls. And
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
I love it. I love it. I'm just asking because, people are like, oh my gosh, come on. In the past 2 weeks, I too have been to two full immersions, right? Like I was at an event for 3 days, and to get me to sit down for 3 days, we all know it's a lot. But I did. And one was, I love this story that Eric Worre shared that, I took a friend of mine. She came to the event. She's like, why am I even here? And then she's like, oh my God, I came. You never know that one thing that's going to change your life. And she was talking about Jeff Bezos, and his whole thing was that his decision was to be the best, to be the best person in customer service ever, right? That's it. And that no matter what your background was, that your product was so good. Everything that you had, it didn't matter where you were from. It didn't matter your religion. It didn't matter your sexual, whatever you would say about yourself. that it was so good that people would want to buy from you. And then the importance of, that they would go, okay, we'll start with books. Oh, let's do other products. Oh, let's do Amazon Prime. Oh, let's do Amazon Web Services. Oh, let's do, Blue Origin. So it's always about, so if you look at someone like that, the wealthiest person, one of the wealthiest people in the world, he is always continuing to grow. So I think we forget that because a lot of people in their head, they've got, oh, I've arrived, and you never arrive, right? And if you really want to be a great leader, whether it be with your family, whether it be with your, your kids or your community, you've got to keep growing. So let's talk personal development, because we love talking personal development. What do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions about personal development that you'd like to debunk?
Yeah, thank you. That there's something wrong with you. People think that
That's the easy button. That's like pressing. I wish I had an easy button. Yeah, love it. Talk a little bit more about that.
Well, if I recommend a class or something, people, can often take offense. And I've had to get really creative with my words and make sure I have rapport before I'm suggesting personal development, because people have in the past really been like, why? Am I broken? Is there something wrong with me? Why are you recommending this? What did I do? Is it something I said? And no, it's not. It's because you're amazing. And I know you love to learn and grow. And I think you love this class. I thought of you because, and so that's one of the biggest, things. And also,
I love that. Do some more. Let's go through this a little bit more. This is good. Let's go here. I love that. That's great for some questions. You're really wonderful at questions. So when someone says, why, is there something wrong with me? And you use the answer, no, I thought of you because. What are some other great questions that you can say, or statements that you can give back to people when they come back with like, oh my God, no, I don't, I'm good. What would you say? I love that. You gave a little phrase, I thought of you because. What's another one?
yeah. Well, I would, oh, what's possible?
Yeah.
If you do, if you were to look back a year from now, and you did go, what might be different? And if you didn't go, would anything be different? Who inspires you, and what classes or courses do they take? Maybe this isn't the right one for you. Maybe it's something else. Just, grow. And then there's one, I don't know who said it. It said a lot of people don't live 80 years. They live 1 year 80 times.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
that hit me like a ball in the head. And so I would say that would be like a last resort, kind of
Yeah.
like, have you
Look
heard?
at you. I didn't, and y'all, she didn't even have any notes here. I didn't tell her what we were talking about because I had no idea what we're going to be talking about. But I love how you reminded me, because you think about it. I would always say, well, what if it did work? What if it did happen? What if you did learn something? What if you did meet one person that changed your life? Like, what would happen? Would it be worth it? I mean, it was so funny because this last weekend, because both of these events were here in Las Vegas, people are like, oh, you're so lucky because the events are here in Las Vegas. I'm like, actually not. I got the dogs. I got to pet check up, get on Asher. I got my kids. I got all this stuff that's going on. It's actually a lot harder, I believe, when it's in your own backyard. And there was just about a time I was like, okay, it's been a long day, right? And I almost left. And thank God I didn't, because it was the most powerful part of the day, right? Or, yeah, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. We were going to leave. And then this guy, Gary Brecka, I don't know if you've heard of him, amazing. He spoke, and I was texting actually Juliana, our friend whose husband has MS. And thank God I stayed, because I realized I stayed for that information to be able to give her for her husband, right? So not just taking it for what am I going to learn for me, but who might I learn this information for that might help them. And I was like, oh, thank you for like thinking about somebody else other than yourself of who this might be able to help. So anyway, you're awesome. I adore you. Let me ask you a question. What is one thing that you do every day to stay true to yourself? You can't even imagine not doing it.
Oh my gosh. Other than brushing my teeth, I really don't know. I tell my husband I love him and I kiss him every single day. I think I am grateful every single day. So this is one thing I do. I put my feet on the floor as soon as I open my eyes and I say thank you. And maybe I dismissed it because it's just such a part of me. That's something that I do every day. Every day I put my feet on the ground. They're not in the ground, they're on the ground. And I say thank you. That is yeah, for sure.
I love that you say that, because I think that, like you said, so many things, it's just like, it's just what we do, that people are like, of course that's what you do. Of course you wake up every day and you're like, I'm grateful for the day. You'd be surprised, right? You'd be surprised of what people really are doing. So these little nuggets are so amazing. Tell us a little bit more about Ladies in Power, or any other messages, and how people can get a hold of you.
Oh, thank you, Loren. Well, the thing about Ladies in Power is that we are all a lady in power. And when women are focused on empowering other women, that's when the world gets better. And it's in us, every single one of us. It's not, if you're not in Vancouver or you're not a part of Ladies in Power, you are a lady in power, and it's up to us to know it, to believe it, and to act like it. And so I just invite women who are in Vancouver to come on out to an event. We're a beautiful group of women who are vulnerable and honest, and we celebrate each other and we learn together and we exchange things that oh, this thing really works, or this doesn't, or this class is awesome, you'd love this, or here's a doctor for XYZ that you're concerned about. And so it's a place of exchanging information as well. And we just launched a podcast, actually, Ladies in Power podcast. And I have to share, because it was a woman that I met who invited me to tea. She said, there's two other ladies I really want you to meet. And we'd been trying for a year to meet them. And she finally just said, I'm going to set up a tea date. And she invited us to this high tea place. And she brought all four of us, herself included, these, what do you call those hats that the queen wears? Those fancy hats, fascinators. So
Yeah, yes.
we all get to our high tea and we're all wearing these fascinators. And at the table, I said, ladies, I've always wanted to do a podcast. Would you like to do it with me? And they all looked at me and they were like, okay. And from this tea, we said yes. And we started a podcast. And it's four
I
women
love it.
sitting around chatting about things that women chat about. And it's just, so it doesn't have to be hard. It
It
doesn't
doesn't
have
have
to
to
be
be
hard.
hard, and it's not. I think that just get started, right? Like, there's still a lot of things that I need to, do better on the podcast. But honestly, I don't want to wait to share my friends or something that somebody might want to learn. Like, I feel that, sure, I need to redo the opening. I need to redo the end of the podcast. I do call to actions, but I don't want to wait till it has to be perfect before I share you with the world, or any of these other amazing people that I bring on. I adore you. I'm going to ask you to do something. You're going to kill me for it, but I am going to ask you to do something right here, right now. And the first thing is, I'd like everybody just to, wherever you are, just take a big deep breath in, including my friend Meeka. And I'm just going to ask you to do probably one of the most beautiful parts of the Own Your Worth experience was from you. And I think that you remind everyone of this. And could you take a tiny bit and let us hear your beautiful voice and sing that little song just for a second for everybody as they go into their day?
Oh my gosh. If I remember the words, this little light of mine used to be too scared to shine. When mine met yours, it would run and hide. But in time, I came to find I want to shine so bright it makes the whole world smile, and pay back the beautiful feeling that allows me to be whatever I want to be. And now I am gonna be free.
Come on, that's a mic drop. Thank God I've got my mic back here so I can drop it. That was a total mic drop. Come on, everybody, admit it. That was a total mic drop. Time to
Thank
shine.
you, Loren. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Have a great one. See you soon.
Can I just say ladiesempower.ca? If you're in Vancouver, ladiesempower.ca, come on out and visit.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Okay,
Loren.
make sure you put the comments what you loved about this, and you're going to go sing that song and shine your light.
Thank you so much.
And that's a wrap on another episode of the Loren Lahav podcast. I hope you're walking away feeling totally inspired, energized, and ready to take on whatever comes your way. If you enjoyed our conversation today, wait till you hear what's coming up next. Speaking of which, mark your calendars because something incredible is happening March the 7th through the 9th. The Own It experience is coming. And trust me, you don't want to miss out on this transformational event. We're talking breakthrough moments, powerful connections, and tools that you can truly own your journey. Can't wait until then. Here's how you can stay connected. Make sure you subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Just search for the Loren Lahav podcast and don't forget to tap that follow button. For all the behind the scenes goodness and daily inspiration, follow me on Instagram at I am Loren Lahav. And if you're loving what you're hearing, spread the love. Share this episode with a friend who needs to hear this message. Want to dive into everything we're talking about today? Click the link in the show notes so that you can access exclusive resources, connect with our amazing community, and learn more about the Own It experience in March. Your transformation awaits. Until then, remember your story matters, your voice matters, and you got this. See you on the next episode.